think I'm the same, that I have no discrimination whatsoever. And one of the great delights and one of the great bits of fun is, as you wend your way towards Damateru, you have to call in, obviously, for petrol. And in the petrol stations, they sell fruit and they sell milk, and the milk is rather good. And so we would stop fairly frequently to pick up some bananas and milk, a staple diet, a very attractive diet because the bananas are straight off the tree. The milk is cartoned and processed, but it still tastes very good. And there would be hordes of young black children around the vehicle. 5 years old, perhaps 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, all clamouring to try and sell you their banana. And then they would look in and the word would go around, there's a white man in the car. And the crowds would just increase to come and take a peek at this white man, because the further you get into Nigeria, the less common are white folk. And they would put their hand in, or one daring little boy put his hand in and rubbed my hand. He wanted to see whether the white would rub off. And I thought, out of the mouth of babes, how wonderful that this young boy and I could just make contact for a second, because he wanted to see whether I could be like him. Could the white rub off? Could I be black? And it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I told that story to many black friends and white friends alike, and they all think it's hilarious, but also charming. And it also breaks down all the silly barriers that both sides put up. Oh, if only we could all just relax from all this nonsense and rubbish. Yes, there have been dreadful things done in the past. To every nation. I'd hate to have been a Saxon when the Normans came ashore, and that was nothing to do with colour. Very few survived. The ruling families had their lands taken off them. And down here, Harold particularly had turned out to be a very good husbandry, I think, his man. He'd increased the prosperity of the farmers and of the landowners. And with all due respect to him, I must say that William de Warenne, in our part of the world, who was the Lord of Lewis, and held huge acres of land into Norfolk and so on, because he was one of those special knights who fought side by side with William the Conqueror, and he is actually one of the very, very few knights named as fighting for William, and he turned out to be an excellent landlord, if you like. He did even better than Harold. So this part of the world, we were very, very lucky. We had wealthy landowners, wealthy farmers. But if you were a Saxon, you lost your wealthy land, which had been looked after by Harold, and you turned it over to a Norman. And there were few major landholders or leaders who managed to keep what they would consider to be rightfully theirs. Now remember, we're talking in context. If you're a landowner, if you're a lord, whether it was under Harold or whether it was under William, is the fact is that there were a lot of serfs around, a lot of slaves. Yes, slaves. And the fact of the matter is that you had to be born into the right circle, if you like, to really have great advantage of any of these things. But there you are. That's the way it was. And that's the way we prefer it not to be anymore. Now, here's one that is called We Are the Rain. And it's got a bracket 1, so perhaps it's We Are the Rain too. But let's listen to We Are the Rain.
Thank you.
do like that one. That was gentle rain. Drizzle and driving rain in the wind I do not like, but very, very heavy rain is super. It's what I call straight up and down rain. Absolutely wonderful, and I could slosh about in that all day long. The other is, of course, when it just very gently drops down. Just almost pretends to rain, so you don't get too wet, but you're aware of the drops falling on your forehead, trickling down your hair, trickling down your neck, trickling down your shirt. Ah, yes, rain, rain, rain. Oh, that reminds me. I'm trying to remember. Was it Somerset Maugham who wrote a short story called Rain? And it was set in the South Sea Islands, as I recall. And it was all about a missionary who, during the rainy season, got caught up with a lady of the islands. And it was all during a period of rain when they couldn't go out, and it was all boring and so on. I must reread it. Rain. I think it was Somerset Maugham. Somebody's going to tell me later when they hear, oh, come on, Keith, you thick old devil. But it was a long time ago. I haven't reread it since university, and that was many, 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 many moons ago. Let's. I don't dedicate things on this program, but my co-host, who will turn up in a few days, has a daughter, Nora, who has a birthday today. God bless her. Lovely little thing. I think it's her 6th birthday today, if I'm not mistaken. And anyway, whether she's 6 or whether she's 8 or whether she's 10, she has an older sister, Julia. And let's wish Nora a happy birthday, because I can remember what it was like when I was a 6-year-old. Oh, and all the presents. And I know she's got presents coming. Yes, indeed. Can you remember the thrill of opening those presents? What was in the next package? What was in the next package? Oh, it sounds as if I was spoiled. Me? Spoiled? Oh, no, sir. No, indeed. Except for all those people that know me and say I'm still spoiled. But that's okay. Happy birthday, Nora. I hope it's a great day, and I know that your mum really has worked very hard to make it that way. Okay. Where are we? 25 minutes into the program. We've only got 5 minutes left. Had I got important things to say to you? No, not really, because once again, the attention of the headlines this morning have turned to the politicians falling out, squabbling, and they really aren't fit for purpose at any level. I have come across 1 or 2 officials at Lewis District who really are very efficient, very helpful, and try their hardest. And I have to say that our local MP, Maria Caulfield, is being very helpful to me as well. But I find that they are rare diamonds in a bunch of deadbeats. And the sooner that we actually root and branch both the system. And the system, yes. When the Independents and the Greens and the Liberal Democrats were in opposition, boy, they hated cabinet. What they were going to do to cabinet when they got into power. Well, they get into power. Oh, and they suddenly find that the cabinet is a good way of wielding power. Have they got rid of it? No, they have not. Such is the promises of politicians at all levels. I really don't think that democracy works. The trouble is, like Churchill, he says, it's the best that we've got. What do we replace it with? I don't know. Perhaps we need a think tank. But I tell you, the present system is just full of nonsense and rubbish. And it encourages a whole sector of our community to bloody lie. And they lie in such a way that they pretend to themselves that they're not. Yeah, oh well. That's them. That's us. Sorry, I've got to calm down now. I'm going to do it by playing my favourite. Rose, I love you. It's all about a sailor saying goodbye to his lovely Chinese lady as a ship steams away from port, and it was then brought into an English version by Frankie Lane. And I will someday tell you a little bit more about Frankie Lane, but he became a bit of a chum. I got to know his musical arranger for years and years and years. They worked together, Ray Barr, and we spent some time with Ray and Frankie, doing all sorts of different things. And he was a charming bloke, Frankie Lane. He was like all artists. He spent a lot of time thinking about how his act should go, but nonetheless he was good company to be with. Ray was absolutely delightful. And we went to Los Angeles with a rugby club, a rugby team called the Scribes, and invited his son to come along. And the son came to watch the heroes that his father was talking about, and we got onto the pitch, and it was against the University of California, Los Angeles, and we were beaten thoroughly. Thrashed. We were thrashed, but nonetheless, they were very understanding. We didn't fall out as friends. So there we are. Rose, I Love You, by Frankie Lane, and by that charming, lovely lady whose name I still do not know, and I'm